Good morning. Welcome to our Rankin County Board of Supervisors, March 15th, 2024 meeting. Thank you for being here. We have a rainy morning, and but I think we've got everything handled. I think we're in good shape as far as our roads and stuff like that. The usual roads probably will have water on them, and hopefully we don't have any that shows up that we're not expecting. I want to call this meeting to order and ask Craig, would you pray for us?
Glad to. Father, we do thank you for this opportunity before we ever get started to acknowledge your presence here with us today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving these men what they need to conduct the business of the county. How you give them skills and abilities and wisdom, Lord, and discernment. I pray that you would give that to them in abundance today and help us as we consider the business of the county to do everything that we can to look out for the interests of everybody in our community. Father, to make this place a great place to live and to acknowledge that it's because of your blessings that we can come back to you and thank you for that. Thank you for those men and women that help us every single day. They serve us. They give of themselves and sacrifice so that we can have a quality of life here, a safety here, Lord. That's a blessing that we should never take for granted, and we don't. We thank you for it in Christ's name.
Amen. All right. Do we have anyone here that wants to make a public comment? Okay, I do not have a sheet with anybody listed on it for public comment, so we'll move on. Old business from March 4th. Do I have a motion to accept our old business?
I'll make a motion to approve March 4th.
All right, I got a motion from Brad. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Sid seconds that motion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, our consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look over the consent agenda? Is there anything? You got something, Jay?
Motion approved.
Okay.
Second.
Jay makes a motion to approve. Scott seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. All right. Stacy, you're next.
That's really Caroline.
Oh, sorry,
You wanna do
Caroline. Stacy, could you do both? I would like for you to do both.
Team player there now.
Take it for the
I
team.
think she did it for me last week, so.
Yep.
All right. The first one under her is authority to void tax sale for PPIN 5069 and to refund any tax sale purchasers. And the land for this sale was in error and should not have resulted in the tax sale.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Brad makes a motion.
Second.
Jay seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Thank you, ma'am. Would you now do Ms. McNitch's?
Happy to. Let's see if I can cover her. Petitions to adjust 2023 homestead exemption supplemental roll.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right. A motion by Brad, second by Scott. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Petitions to change of assessment on 23 real property assessments.
Motion approved. Second.
Jay makes a motion, Scott seconds a motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
C, request authority to void the 2022 tax sale for parcel N10H2, PPIN 45999, due to erroneous assessment.
Motion approved.
Brad makes a motion to approve.
Second.
Jay seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Another request for authority to void the 22 tax sale for parcel PPIN 16469 due to erroneous assessment. This was City of Flowood and should have been tax exempt.
Motion.
Second.
Scott makes a motion. Brad seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Authority to pay registration fees in the amount of $650 for me to attend the 2024 IAAO Course 102. That's the 15th through the 19th. And authority to issue check and pay any travel expenses.
Motion?
Motion. Second.
All right, I'm gonna say Skid made the motion and Jay seconded the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I need to come, do I need to
I
come
don't know,
anybody else?
I think it's just our president, you know.
President's prerogative.
Yeah, he needs a little help
Sid
down there.
and landslide mixed up.
Yeah.
All right, Tim Parker.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
First item we have on the agenda is on program element number 1.23, that's bank stabilization at White Road. By the nomenclature there, you know it's an ARPA project. We're recommending approval of the summary change order in the amount of a decrease of $12,737.53. And the authorization is based on the four things that, normal with our change orders, that the change order is necessary and would better serve the purposes of the governing authority, change is reasonable within the scope, they're commercially reasonable, and is not intended to circumvent the bid law.
Motion approved.
Second.
Brad makes a motion to approve, Skid seconds that motion. Does this have any effect at all on B?
It does, yes.
So this will be a deduction.
Right, so the summary change order just zeroes out the quantities. Before we do a final pay request, we make the original contract match the final numbers, and this one was a decrease, so we
Right.
recommend an approval of the summary change order, which gets the quantities right, and then we'll go to item B, which will be their final pay request.
Can we just cut the next check that much short, or do you need to make them pay you back?
No, we haven't paid it. This
Okay.
is just to make the math
Reduction.
work, this is just to make the math work on the final pay request.
All right.
We haven't overpaid the contractor.
Okay,
Your final pay request would have been $12,737 more,
yeah,
Right.
but it
I
didn't have to
understand.
be because you're gonna go ahead and authorize the change order to reduce it before it ever shows up in the final.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Now the next one.
Item B is program element 1.23, bank stabilization at White Road. We're recommending approval of the final payout from S&S Excavation LLC in the amount of $43,856.47 and authority to issue that check.
I got a question, that's on White Road.
Correct.
All right, on Foster Road where S&S did some work,
Right.
do we still owe them anything, or?
Foster Road's closed out fully. It's
All right, so we're through
closed
with
out
it.
with both contractors, S&S and Southeastern. So Foster's done, and this will close out White
This
Road.
is what closed out White Road, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Skid makes a motion.
Second.
Brad seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Item C, Mr. President, is program element 3.02, that's stormwater detention restoration and hydrologic restoration at Live Oak subdivision. We're requesting authority to advertise that project.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Brad makes a motion to approve. Scott seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
If I may, I would like to see us do a motion on items A, B, C, and D under my section there to set the public hearings that you see listed there for March the 28th at 9 a.m. Those first four are all to be set on March 28th at 9 a.m.
I'll make a motion to set A, B, C, and D for March 28th.
Second.
Brad makes a motion. Jay seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
The next two items, E and F, Mr. President, if, with your discretion, I'll ask for a motion to set both of those for public hearings, April 1, 9 a.m., and you see those two matters listed there.
And that's my motion.
Second.
Brad makes a motion. Jay seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Very good. Item G, Mr. President, is a public hearing that has been set for today. That public hearing is for Ashley and Sean Allen. This is a dimensional variance request at 504 Stay Sale Cove. This is a District 2 property. I'm going to open that public hearing. Ashley and Sean Allen are requesting a dimensional variance at 504 Stay Sale Cove, Regatta subdivision. It's a District 2. They added a roof extension over an existing patio. The property is zoned R1B. The required rear yard setback in R1B is 20 feet. They are seeking a variance of 6 feet from the rear setback. The homeowners association reported that work was being done without a permit. The hearing notice was published in the paper and the property was posted. We have not received any calls in the Office of Community Development that would be in the nature of an objection to this request for a dimensional variance. At this time, I'm going to ask if there is anyone here to speak in opposition to the Ashley and Sean Allen dimensional variance request. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition on that matter? Mr. President, I don't see anyone here to speak in opposition on that matter. Unless you have questions of the applicant, we will close that public hearing. Anyone have any questions of the applicant? All right, that public hearing is closed. At this time, it'll be approved. Are you guys the applicants? Yes. I'm assuming the applicant is in favor of the request. So if I'm wrong about that, speak up. The next item would be to approve the request that has been presented to you. There are a number of justifications for a dimensional variance, and the staff and legal counsel believes that the applicant has met all of the requirements to justify the extension of the variance request.
Do I have a motion?
We may need to have a on-site, viewing of it. Make sure.
Refreshments
The patio?
Yeah. Available.
Patio.
Right.
Absolutely.
Scott, have you?
All right.
Totally good with it. I haven't, but I have his number and we'll.
Maybe,
talk about
maybe we can do that down the road.
it. Motion.
All right. Scott makes a motion.
Second.
Jay seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. The next item under my section, gentlemen, is a discussion time for matters involving our outdoor siren warning system. Brian, I've got you at a disadvantage. Come on, bud. This is an opportunity for us to kind of get up to speed on where we are at the moment with respect to outdoor warning. And so Brian, our new EOC director, is going to walk you guys through that.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
I sent y'all an email a few days ago or whatever, just letting you know kind of what I found out when I started a week ago Friday, or 2 weeks ago Friday now, and just kind of wanted to get a direction of how y'all feel about the outdoor weather sirens. We have about 42 in the county, and we have approximately 25 now that are working.
Oh, your list said 13.
13. Okay, I'm sorry. So we have about 13 that are working. Fully working. Yeah, we have a few that are sounding. They're just not rotating.
So we have 25 that make a noise.
Yeah, we give them 50%. So, as I mentioned, basically minimally you're looking at $5,000 or $6,000 per siren to fix, and that's minimally. It could go all the way up to $25,000, or a brand new one would be around $33,000 to $35,000. So I think in the past we've band-aided as much as we can. Some of them are just obsolete. As a reminder, the outdoor weather sirens started around 1960, and they were used to bring people out of the fields that were working to let them know that bad weather was coming. And obviously times have changed. Houses are built, better construction. You don't necessarily going to hear that weather siren if you're inside your house. We have been beating the drum for the past few years to have multiple ways to receive your notification, whether it be a cell phone, smartphone, your TV, your local radio station. There are other ways to receive your notification. And about 2 years ago, you all invested in a mass notification called Regroup, where citizens of Rankin County could go and sign up for those weather alerts automatically. It comes from the National Weather Service, and people will receive them on their smartphones, but there's also a landline option. So if somebody doesn't have a smartphone, we can sign them up, or they can sign themselves up for that landline, and they will receive a telephone call just like somebody with a smartphone would have, in addition to the local news and the local radio and all of those options.
Can we have an option, and one of the other board members brought this to my attention, to have the sirens where schools are located and manage those. And then the next thing to that is for, it's only a very few, but people that do not have cell phones that are smartphones, that we can make available a radio.
Yeah, so we can definitely look into a type of grant for a NOAA
Grant.
weather radio
Yep.
on that.
Yep.
But also, I would encourage, you've already, like I said, paid for the regroup, that would give them a phone call on their landline to give them that information. But to go back to your first question, Pearl River County has already done that about 5 years ago. They discontinued their outdoor weather sirens, and they moved them to be co-located with the school district. Each school is how they did theirs. And I can definitely check into more of that if y'all want some more information on that. But to my knowledge, that was successful with moving them to the schools. Now, granted, Rankin County Schools has 29 campuses, or 28 campuses in a county office, so we would need to figure out.
Well, the ones that are outside the municipalities
Yeah.
are really the ones we would need to
Right.
focus on. Also, get us pricing on what those weather radios will cost us.
Okay.
Would like a
Retail,
grant.
they're about $30.
How does the school system receive their emergency notifications?
Well, they've, two ways. One, every office has a NOAA weather radio inside it for that automatic notification. And while I was with the school district, we encouraged all the principals and assistant principals to sign up for that regroup notification. So they get that as well.
So you're talking about 30,000 a siren to put, like at the schools? If we,
Up to.
Well, but, and some of these are already functioning.
That's right.
right,
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we'd have to replace those.
That's right.
Will regroup send a text message out also?
Yes, so it'll send a text message, a phone call, and an email. It depends on what the citizen signs up for. So it's completely up to them, what they opt in for.
So if someone were wanting to do that and they were, let's say, technically challenged.
Sure.
Is there a way for that to happen through?
Absolutely.
The
So they
county.
can call our office and give us, the name, telephone number, just a very minimal amount of information, and we can sign them up. We can do that for them. Or they can go to rankincounty.org website and click on the large button on the front page, and it'll take them to the same place. So either way, we can help them, assist them, or they can do it on their own.
The pros and the cons are the wear and tear on the siren and human error?
That's right. So the outdoor weather sirens are activated by dispatchers who obviously, if a tornado's coming through, are going to be slammed with phone calls and other things going on. In the past, they've always been willing and able to reach over there and hit that button, but it is up to them to
I
find
think with
that
the
5 seconds.
technology, we can kind of move on or move forward. Do you get very many complaints from the
Oh.
citizen about the sirens not working?
We do. We've been testing the outdoor weather sirens once a month on the first day of the month, and it's inevitable that we're going to get phone calls from repeated people who say, my siren didn't work this month. It didn't work last month, didn't work the month before. And that's when we encourage them to do the regroup, until we decide how to proceed forward, so.
So you go and research if we do need to relocate any sirens around the school, and
The
if
rural
there is,
schools.
and if there is a grant out there for these radios. or
Okay,
not.
I definitely can do that.
We're definitely gonna need to do some press release and some
Yeah,
advertising.
advertising.
A public
Yeah.
relations
So
campaign to.
when we first got regroup about 2.5 years ago, we did a big push, big press release, social media and everything, and it's a good time to do that
probably time to do it
again.
again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get it in the paper.
And the good thing is if people get annoyed by the phone call, they just want the text, they can go back in there and opt out. I mean, it's all up to them, user friendly for them. So,
I would like to have a grace period that people can learn. I probably live, as a crow flies, maybe 2 miles from one. If I'm outside, I hear it.
Right.
But if I'm inside and it's in the middle of the night and I've got the heat running or something,
right.
I don't hear it. So-
Exactly right. So when you buy a new outdoor weather siren, in their manufacturer information, it says 1.5 mile radius around that, and that's in perfect conditions. And we all know that we don't sound the sirens in perfect conditions. So
And that limits a lot of people that live more than a mile and a half.
Exactly.
Where this, what we're talking about, would include everyone.
That's exactly right. So
And-
if you receive self-service at your house.
And I would like
Sometimes.
for us to get, try to get grant monies to where someone that doesn't have a cell phone or whatever, we can give them a radio that,
Okay.
all right,
I would definitely
let's
check
go
into
that
that.
route. And,
Sure.
and let's use the media and do this over a 6-month period or something to educate everyone.
Right.
Hey,
All
Brian,
right.
when they sign up for the alerts, they also get road closure notices and any other message that.
Yeah.
you send
That's
out.
right, yeah. If they opt in for road closures, they get those.
Is it your opinion that we're gonna continue to use the sirens that are active, the 13, the 25, whatever, the 42, whatever the percentage is, until failure?
Yeah, I believe we still use those in conjunction with the regroup until we check out the school option about relocating the sirens, if that's not, it may be cost prohibitive to move a handicapped siren down the road, but we can check in that, so.
Does the 33,000 include the pole and all that, or is that just?
Yes. But another thing to put on your radar is the actual software we use to activate the sirens. I joke and say that it predates Windows 98, so it's pretty old school. It doesn't.
It's not supported.
That's right, and it doesn't have an internet connection to it, so to add or delete a siren is, you have to pay somebody to come in and physically come to your computer and do that. And we have one at EOC, and then they have one here at the sheriff's office, so it's double.
So anything new that we put up in the county is gonna have to be programmed to.
That's correct. That's correct.
Or we're gonna have to update the software
Right.
at both locations.
Exactly.
But the school systems, they have sirens that go off once they're notified, like if it goes, to the school, the staff there can sound.
A bell or whatever.
Right, a siren
Like
within
inside the
right.
building?
Inside and outside, do they not have that?
Yeah, so when I was there, I made sure I contacted the safety coordinators, and they did their severe weather drill
Right.
that they practice
Right.
once every 3 months. And so the notification was made throughout the school to the staff and to the
Right.
students that they needed to come to the inner hallway and stuff. So yeah, that's still the same.
All right. We don't need a
It's
motion
just
or anything.
discussion.
Okay.
Right.
Trying to
All
get
right.
some feedback from you guys, so we can chart a path forward.
All right.
Do you have any questions?
I don't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
I want to add one thing that Brian mentioned, and that is the justification for outdoor warning sirens from the 50s and 60s was, in fact, it did involve folks that were working outside, kids outside and that type of thing in the event of inclement weather. But there was another primary reason for them, and that was because we were at the height of the Cold War, if you recall. And there was a very real concern that there could be an attack on the country, and those sirens really were justified more for that potentiality than for weather. They've really never been designed to be a weather alarm, and certainly not a weather alarm that is effective to notify anyone who is inside of a building at the time. They are called outdoor warning sirens for a reason. And so I think we've just grown accustomed over time to having that notification available to us, and that if you're close enough, you can in fact hear the thing going off if you're inside, but they are not designed to warn somebody that's already inside of a building. Never have been. So we talk about that, and I think that's pretty clear and obvious to most of us, but there is still a misconception in the populace that somehow the warning sirens that spin on top of a telephone pole are supposed to warn us while we're dead asleep in our beds. And that has never been the case, and I don't think we can ever address that. Okay? The next item under my section, gentlemen, is an acknowledgement of a process that we undergo every 4 years, which is to execute fire service agreements. This is between the county and our volunteer and full-time fire departments. I just want to acknowledge that that process is underway. I'm working right now with Brett, our fire coordinator, with our county administrator to put together an update of our fire service agreements, and we will get that process moving. I just wanted to let you guys know that we're doing that. I don't need any action on that. This is really for you guys to understand we're moving the process. Once those agreements have been executed on behalf of the departments and they come back to us, we will receive those, and so you'll have an action item on a later agenda for that purpose. I just wanted to highlight that that process is underway, and hopefully we'll be moving that process forward quickly. Next item is item J, gentlemen, which is acknowledgement of receipt of a petition to form the Langford Fire Protection District. This is pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated section 19-5-153. We've received a petition that's been signed actually by more than 25 residents of the proposed district. I think they collected upwards of about 50 signatures. Those signatures have been made available to the circuit clerk, and the circuit clerk has confirmed that all but 2 of the signatures were executed by qualified electors of Rankin County, and therefore that petition is subject to being received and acted on. There's a process to act on it from this point. It requires a public hearing. So the other part of this request is that you're authorizing the publication of a notice in the newspaper to set a public hearing for April 15th of 2024. And that will be for the purpose of receiving any information, communications from anybody in the proposed district who wishes to speak on this matter. They'll have an opportunity to do that. So that's what you're doing today. You're not acting to form, you're simply acknowledging that you have received a petition and that you are now authorizing the publication of a public notice.
So there won't be an election?
There's no election under state law for this. If you get a petition, it's up to the board at that point.
This election.
You get to decide whether or not there's gonna be one. And you follow the process to get that. The first step before you can even get there to the point of decision-making is to set a public hearing and convene a public hearing. And so we've got to do that before we can do anything else.
So how many people are notified that live in that district? How are they notified?
They're notified by the publication of the public notice, which will actually have in it, the notice will have the legal description for the boundaries, and it will state precisely what the intention is with respect to that petition. The intention being to formally acknowledge that it's now a fire protection district, that there is the potential for a fire protection millage to be set.
Is it in online newspaper?
No, it's in the newspaper. It's in the newspaper.
All right.
Well, Jay, it can be anything you want it to be, honestly. It has to be in the newspaper.
Right, I know
But-
that, but I just, I would think if I lived there, I'd want some way of being notified.
They signed up for the recruit.
Yeah.
Can we put that on our website?
Yes, sir, absolutely. We'll put the notice, that there will be a resolution of intent that I have to create after you guys do this. And so that resolution, the legal description, a map, so detailed information can be positioned on the website, and an alert can be utilized to make sure folks that need to know about that. This doesn't apply to everybody. It's
Yep.
just to the
Just-
folks that are in the fire protection
Yep.
district, those properties,
Yep.
okay?
We
So-
can send out, if there's any HOAs in that district, we can send
Yeah.
it to the HOAs
There are.
for them to disperse it as well.
All right, let's advertise.
Okay, I just need a motion with respect to item J, motion to authorize the publication of the public notice.
So moved. Second.
All right, Scott makes a motion, Jay seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Quickly, a little background information on item K to help you guys understand why that's even on there. Okay, so PRV folks gave me a phone call maybe a week and a half ago to tell me about a situation that they are encountering frequently, and this has to do really with just 2 of the areas of PRV property that are controlled as campgrounds. These are short-term camper trailer situations, primarily in Goshen Springs and Timberlake Campground. Those are the 2 where where PRV frequently has individuals who will come, and most of them are very short-term in nature, 30 days or less. But they do have some pads that get rented for an extended period of time. They're eligible to actually rent these. I didn't know this, but they are eligible to rent a pad for up to 12 months. And so what they have are some pads in Timberlake and Goshen Springs where they're seeing people who will move in some temporary recreational vehicle or possibly even some type of trailer house type setup, and will do a longer term lease, and then they will attempt to get their school-aged children registered for Rankin County schools. And the rules of the PRV state very clearly that those pads are temporary. They are not permanent residences. In fact, you can't even get a mailbox or receive your mail at that location. And so there's nothing really about that arrangement that is designed to be some sort of effective legal statement of residency for school district purposes, okay? And so PRV reaches out to us and says, we've got folks that are doing this. It's really not our purview or our job to police that. We just want to make sure that you guys are aware that that's being done. And sometimes the PRV folks will get phone calls from school district personnel inquiring about how to get that kid registered, and it's making them very uncomfortable to have to be put in the middle of that. Never was designed to be permanent in any nature, wasn't designed for this kind of outcome or use that school-age kids.
They allowed it to be built out there, and they allowing it, they should be the one policing.
Well, I agree 100% with that, Brad, and I think they do know, and that's why they raised it as an issue. So what I did here was I positioned this only as a policy statement. This is not some sort of legal binding statement that you're making. It's simply a statement that you understand that these are not permanent.
But they are. I mean, there's people that are living out there.
But they know when they go in, it's temporary
That's correct.
matter. And they know that if they're there for longer than what's on their rental agreement, that they have to leave. And some of them that want to abuse it, leave for one day,
Or
and
move
turn
to another
around
pad.
and come back. And the problem, one of the problems that it's causing is those children now want to have school bus pickup. And these little drives cannot handle a school bus coming through there. It complicates the whole deal. I understand where PRV is coming from with this, and I support them. And this is a campground.
This is simply an opportunity for you guys, if you feel that it is appropriate, and it may not be, but if you feel it's
I
appropriate,
feel like
I
we
do.
need it, but I mean, I
you're
feel
being
like.
requested to declare your position on this. Is your position that the PRV should not enforce that portion of their rental agreement that states very clearly, this is temporary, it cannot be used as if it's a permanent residence? Do you want them to enforce that for the school district piece of this, or do you want them to just turn a blind
They
eye?
need to enforce it.
Can I make a motion that we support PRV's decisions and policies regarding this issue?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's my motion.
I'll get with Ms. Flood about how to make that language.
I'd like to
work.
see it to where they can stay there.
And
6
she'll
months.
send me
They-
something
every
that says,
month
hey,
they
don't
have to
forget
get
you have to.
Oh, they have some that are only monthly.
I know
They
that.
do.
I'm saying they
Yeah.
can't do it a 6 month or 1 year. Do it every month. Because, I mean, if it's a campground, you're there for temporarily. You're not there for 6 months or a year at a time.
That's a different deal that they have to take. All right, I've made my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Scott seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but just to kind of round this off for us in terms of that discussion. It's helpful to be reminded that that property is owned by a state agency. It is not taxed. There is no ad valorem collected. Neither the county
I know.
nor the school district collects any ad valorem. Every pad that's rented out there, those dollars go to a state agency,
tax-free.
and they are maintained and collected by and used by a state agency. So there's a very real impact on the school system that is not accounted for in this arrangement at all.
Yeah.
I want to highlight that there's multiple issues with this beyond just using a temporary setup to get school kids qualified for Rankin County School District.
And one in particular, and I think most of them are the same, they don't have an electric meter. They don't have an electric bill. And that's one of the things, one of the ways that Rankin County uses to determine if you are a permanent resident. And that in itself, you know, to me is enough reason to say no.
One thing I'm unclear about is, I mean, do they qualify to be able to come up here and get a car tag? Maybe, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. If that's the case, that could be the way that they can establish some form of residency, is through the issuance of the car tag. So there's a lot of ways that it can be, you know, that folks can kind of game it, so to speak. And what we're trying to do is just help PRV be able to better enforce this. And the thought process is, if the county speaks on it and says, we support PRV's policies and procedures, I think that's helpful to both the PRV and to the school system.
All right,
All right, next, I have a matter in executive session I need to talk to you guys about, so I wanted to alert you to that. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
The first item on the agenda from my section relates to some action we had to take to keep the elevators operating in our circuit court building, so we're asking for ratification of that emergency declaration.
Motion approved. Second.
all right. Jay makes a motion, Scott seconds motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes.
Item B is the authority for the county and sheriff's department to purchase 5 vehicles from the Missouri State Highway Patrol.
Motion approved.
Jay makes a motion. I second the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Just a point of clarification, that also includes the authority to, and approval to travel to pick those up.
Yes, sir.
Item C is acknowledge receipt of 601 homestead applications submitted by the assessor's office to the Chancery Clerk's office for the month of February 2024.
Motion.
Second.
All right, I make the motion. Scott seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Item D, I think we provided you with a handout that kind of details it. We're kind of changing things up a little bit this year on our spring cleanup. Instead of doing the entire county at one time, it works better for the county, it works better for the road department, it works better for waste management. If we could stagger out the weeks, I think it's going to help the residents as well. If they miss one, they'll have another opportunity. So we're looking at setting up dumpsters 1 week at a time in the district. And then the next week, we'll roll to the next location. And it helps waste management being able to keep those picked up. Instead of driving all over the county, they're focused on one area. The one change I have to your list is we're actually going to do this through May 25th, and Pearl will be that last week. So it'll be the 18th through the 25th for Pearl. So we're asking for approval to advertise that and set the weeks. Are there any questions?
We're gonna do the hazardous on September 20th.
Yeah, we're looking at, instead of doing it in the spring, we're gonna advertise it, and we have to bid it out, so we're gonna try to do it this fall.
Gotcha.
All right, do I have a
I'll
motion?
make a motion for,
Brad makes a motion to approve.
Second.
Was that Skid?
It was.
It was.
Skid seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
I had a meeting this morning in the circuit clerk's office. What's going on? Are they getting a new air conditioning system, or what's going on over there, because their air conditioning is not working?
We are in the process of, we have a mechanical engineer coming up with the design for the replacement,
The chiller?
the chiller. Yes, sir. It was down most of the day yesterday. I think they
Yeah.
did get it operating yesterday.
It was hot in there this morning. She
Okay.
said they have a bunch coming to court Monday.
Okay.
That is a big issue over
Yeah.
there.
Yes, sir.
Because I know it was out a couple,
Yeah.
at least a month ago when we were over there.
Last year too, just about on and off all summer.
Is that still under, I mean, they should be still under warranty being that's a,
No, it's 26 years old. That's why we
Oh.
were trying to
This
replace
is,
it.
this is the old building, it's
Oh,
not the
okay.
one we were in.
I got
So
you.
where are we at in that process?
They're evaluating the current system to design the replacement system. That's, y'all approved that with the engineer last
Last
board meeting.
board meeting,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
All right. Hey, what's the word on our guy coming in doing our analysis?
He has told us sometime by the end of this month, 1st of April, he'll be here to discuss it.
Okay, all right.
I do have one additional.
All right,
minutes.
additional business, Brad has something to talk about.
This is more or less getting Craig's opinion on something. Miss Renee, I talked to her about this and wasn't sure, and she recommended me asking you.
Okay.
We're getting a few folks that are pitching up tents and living in them. What's the ordinance on that?
Yes, sir.
In the
So
county.
that's clearly not, I would say that is in the nature of a recreational type of setup, Brad, and we don't allow occupancy of a temporary arrangement like that, whether it's a recreational vehicle or literally a tent.
How can we enforce them, sheriff's department, or building department, or, I mean, because they're gonna be on private property?
Yes, sir. So, technically, it falls under your nuisance considerations. It's both a zoning violation and potentially a nuisance violation.
But if they don't own the property where the tent is sitting at, how do?
The property owner
Okay.
is responsible to see to it that the condition of the property does not fall into a nuisance and/or violation of our property maintenance code or any of the other codes that we typically use for property conditions. So we do have ways to address it, but specifically to your question,
I mean, the sheriff's department just couldn't go out there and tell them, hey, you got to move.
not unless they are committing a criminal act. What we're talking about here is more in the nature of a civil violation. It's a property maintenance violation. That's not the same as a criminal violation, although it could potentially be if it's enough of a violation found by you guys to be specifically a misdemeanor violation of your property maintenance code. It could be at that point a criminal matter that can be addressed then by law enforcement. But unless they're engaged specifically, and I'm going to defer to my law enforcement guys, unless these guys see them committing criminal acts, or we receive the official filing of an affidavit on behalf of a third party saying this person is violating state law, and I am bringing forward the statement of probable cause to have them arrested, then law enforcement can act on that. But unless they see it or you get some sort of official filing, there's not a way for us to address that criminally. You guys make it a criminal violation, but only after there's been notice and an opportunity to be heard in a public hearing, and you consider it as a deliberative body. Then it can be, if they don't come into compliance, it will be a misdemeanor violation, and then justice court can handle that.
Okay.
Hopefully
Is there a lot
that,
of that going on?
there's nothing simple about it. Nothing simple.
This does not affect people that are
Camping,
camping
yeah, no.
on their grandparents' land.
That's right.
Something like that. This is totally different.
Yes, sir. And I would suspect that it's complaint driven, right? So others see it, it's been going on for a long enough period of time that it's clear and obvious that this is not something temporary,
No.
right? So that's how it comes to us, and we always act on complaints. That's how we've always done our business around here, addressing property nuisance considerations or property maintenance. We act on complaints. We don't drive around looking for these things, right? But we act on complaints, and so we address it when it's brought to our attention. That's how we would typically try to handle it, Brad.
I got you.
It's brought to our attention, Ms. May and her group looks at it, does an investigation on it, comes and reports to you guys. You guys set a hearing, and there's an opportunity to be heard.
I like the idea of addressing it as nuisance.
Yes, sir.
And then gives our people time to go out, take pictures, see that they're there for an extended period of time, then take more pictures, bring it to us, and then it goes to justice.
Can I add one thing too? This is a good point to interject this. A lot of times folks may not realize, folks out in the community, they may not realize that they don't have to wait on Rankin County
They can,
to act.
yeah.
There are laws that establish what are called private nuisances, and they have the authority, the legal authority to go into court themselves and have a matter addressed privately, private nuisance. And I think sometimes folks that are aggressive in filing complaints, they need to be counseled. If you feel strongly about that, you need to act.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other business?
Yes, it should be. It should be somebody that can clearly establish to the court. That's correct. It needs to be somebody that can clearly establish in court why they and their property are being impacted by this behavior.
Yeah.
That's the threshold. Show how I'm being damaged, and that damage could be my property values are sinking because of that behavior.
Okay.
All right, let's move on. Mike, do you have an update on red lights or something of that nature under additional business?
Takes both of you.
Heck yeah, it's a team effort, man.
Well, I think the communications, a lot of it's been coming through me.
If he starts giving legal advice, y'all tell him to wait.
Oh, I want you to hear it if I do that, so I'll wait till you get back, I promise. No, this is the traffic signal that we've been looking at on Spillway Road at Recreation Road there where the PRV office is and the soccer fields. We've finally gotten it nailed down with PRV. They're going to allow wooden poles, which was the big question. That was gonna make a huge difference in the cost. And the question was whether we could drill on the water side. They've okayed all that. We met with PRV out there last week. We're in the process of trying to, nail down the scope. It actually puts a signal at Recreation Road and Shaggy's. It does all of it.
Okay.
It does all of it.
And here.
Yeah, on there, yeah.
So that makes the timing a lot better as far as not getting folks hung out in the intersection. I think, and I do need to talk to Craig about this some. There's some of the equipment that's on state contract.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait.
Yeah,
need
go ahead.
There's some of the equipment that's on state contract.
Yeah.
But then the remainder of it, I think we can get 2 quotes and do, because we anticipate it being under $75,000.
Oh, yeah.
To get the install done.
So they're gonna let us use wood poles or
Yeah,
metal
so-
poles without the arm?
No, we're using wood poles.
Okay.
Wood poles and
Cool.
cables.
All right.
Yeah, so.
Tim, this won't affect the future project of the reservoir?
No, it's not, and that's part of the reason that they're actually, well, I say it won't affect it. That's part of the reason they're letting us use the wood poles is we're going at it as temporary, because when the realignment comes, I think it's Recreation Road, I may be using the wrong name for it, but it'll be realigned a little bit, and the new road will come in right back in there to tie into Spillway, so there'll be some adjustment there. At that time, there probably would be an effort to line up Shaggy's and that intersection and this intersection more, just because the Recreation Road will have to be realigned for that project.
And when that project comes through, there will be a permanent red light with arm signals put there.
Right.
Yeah. They'll pay for it. They'll pay for that.
They'll pay for all that, but,
That was my question. Thank you, Jeff.
but I don't want people to think we're jumping. I mean, they will be a permanent when the realignment comes. There will be a red light that's already warranted.
So how much are we looking at?
So we think the installation, the signal portion will be under 75,000. You've got about $40,000 worth of equipment that's on state contract. So you're in that $130,000 range for the signal itself. And then you've got some work that the county can do on Recreation Road. It's not wide enough for 3 lanes, and certainly to make if we're gonna put in a red light to make the traffic move better, we've gotta have a right turn and a left turn out of there and one in. So it's gotta be widened just a little bit, not much. It's not a full lane. And it would just be widened from the first entrance into PRV's office there out to Spillway Road.
Why couldn't we just use what we have?
Okay, so the problem there is if you've got somebody wanting to turn left,
Yeah?
then you got a lot of right turn traffic that's held up by a left turn person.
Well, I
So-
mean, they ain't that many. I don't think we need to worry about adding to the road. Let's put it up and go.
We can certainly do that.
What about the left turn lane off of Spillway into Red Road?
There is a left turn lane off of Spillway now.
Does it have to be up?
Now, well, one of the issues with getting into the facility for the soccer is it backs up on Spillway Road, and then when the turn lane runs out, they back up the main.
Right.
So there's where the double turn lane is up to the east on Spillway. There's a gored out area between that and the left turn lane. We're gonna take that gore out and make all that left turn lane. So we're gonna extend the left turn lane into the complex. That'll all be done just with striping. When the signal goes in, it'll be overlaid, in that area with the new, and then it'll all have to be newly striped.
Okay.
We got a lot of striping that's gotta be
Yeah.
changed in that area.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where you get the yellow hatch where it's an area where people don't drive. I'll be happy to add that to your engineering repertoire. Yeah, we'll consider it in there now, and I'll explain it further after the meeting.
So we don't have a total price yet.
Well, no, because we don't have a quote on the striping. We do on the signal itself. I mean, we gotta get quotes, but we're anticipating it being in the 70,000, plus the plus the cost of the
Initially, we
state.
thought we were gonna be spending $350,000. That was the initial, you know, so if we're gonna be spending less than 150, I think it's a slam dunk.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the red light system is, pretty well, I feel like we do that for 150.
I really don't think we gotta worry about another road. I mean, not that much traffic coming out of
Okay.
there. They'll be happy with what they got, I think.
Send all calls on Mr. Bishop.
There you go. I'll forward them over to their supervisor.
So all we would be doing we would stripe that, on Recreation Road, stripe that.
We
as
might
part of
need
this
a little
project.
asphalt work right there, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta make an apron type deal, we
Alright.
gotta fix it to where they can pull up our.
So is everything in stock? We ready to go?
According to the suppliers, yeah, he says, and I think he said that there would be an anticipated cost increase sometime in
Do
June.
we have to wait on any kind of PRV board meeting, anything?
Mark, once we got through with this.
I think they meet early next week, so he said just shoot him something today and let him know, and he's got a layout of it, and he would present it to them,
So
so.
we just gonna present our plan to them and make sure they were all okay with
Alright.
what we was doing.
So I think,
Okay, I'd like to add it to the agenda so we can move forward.
Well, I think you give them time, I don't think they quite got everything ready, ironed out, and give them time to come back
I
there.
make a motion to add this item to the agenda.
Your second?
All right. Jay makes motion to add new signal lights. I think there's 2 on Spillway Road, to the agenda, and Scott seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, it's added.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve.
Jay makes a motion, with the same language to approve.
Second?
Scott seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Any other additional business?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other additional business? Do we have a need?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to discuss the need for executive session.
Second?
Jay makes a motion, discuss the need for executive session, and Scott seconds that motion. Any, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Now then,
What is it for?
254174J.
2541-7
Executive
J.
session for those numbers.
I
Aye.
second that motion for those numbers.
Jay makes a motion, going executive for 2547J. Scott seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Now we are in executive